From Athens and across the SEC or wherever the recruiting trail may lead, here's a DawgNation.com insider.
All right, we'll say hello to Terrence Edwards, Marlow's Tavern Insider Update with him. I'm a little late getting to him, so let me apologize to Terrence for that. But, Terrence, we know your story here. You're a mentor to Jermaine Burton. When Burton announced his first college decision going back years ago, he did so on your birthday. We talked last week about the rumor, the possibility that Jermaine might leave, and now it appears that's going to happen. He is in the transfer portal now officially. What is your reaction to the fact that Jermaine Burton is looking to move on from UGA?
I was surprised at first once I kind of got wind of it. Starting off BA from the top, it kind of bothered me even a couple of days ago when Justin Robinson decided to retire. And I read and people sent me screenshots of how classless he was for announcing he was transferred on the day of the celebration. Like, I think a lot of Georgia fans and a lot of fans of Pierce just go over the top with their conspiracy theories. Justin didn't decide to post he was transferring the day of just to knock Georgia. That's the day he decided. That's the day he told Mississippi State he was coming, so that's the day he decided to post it. So that had nothing to do with anything about Georgia when Justin decided to post his transfer destination. And then with Jermaine, what bothers me about the whole situation is people want to call him a quitter or selfish. And I held some words back, but I just challenge everyone. Have you ever changed the job, BA? Have anyone ever changed the job to better themselves? If this young man feels him leaving Georgia for whatever reason, I'm not going to get into the reason he wants to leave. Whatever reason, if his family himself feels this is the best situation for them, why can't he better himself? That's the part that I just don't get. He didn't do it before the season. He didn't opt out. He gave Georgia everything that he could and helped Georgia bring a national championships. And this how we repay the young man, because he decides that, it's time for him to move on. We all move on in life from something. So are you a quitter? Or I am speaking to everyone who's listening, who's tweeted or whatever, that are you a quitter because you wanted a different job for your family to better your family? Are you a quitter? Are you selfish to the coworkers that you left? That's what I don't get. I just don't understand why sports and entertainment is the only ones that have to abide by certain rules that everyone else don't have to abide by. Like, we don't get the opportunity to try to better ourselves and do what we feel is right for ourselves and our family. That's the part that I never get. I would love for someone to tweet me or ask, why do non-athletes get to live by a different set of rules? And I'm not talking about everyone can have their opinion.
Sure.
You could talk about why you're leaving. We're in the entertainment business, so we're in the face of people, so you're going to have your opinion. But once you start, disrespecting the kid, but calling him a quitter and he's all about himself, are you about yourself when you try to make a decision for your wife and kids? Are you thinking about them, or are you thinking about your coworker? That's the part I don't get, but, that's my rant for the day. And it may come out again, but that part, that's just not for this young man, but all the kids that's transferred. I don't really agree with the portal. My father always taught my brother and I, if you start something, you go finish it. You may change after the season, but you're not going to quit. You're not going to leave doing mid-season. So I necessarily don't like the portal. I wish the portal could be changed some type of way. But that's the type of rules that we live in. I think Alabama benefited the most last year with Jameson Williams because he's a dynamic wide receiver, and it changed their offense. So I think everybody now is going to do the portal thing. Everyone is going to leave, and I think every school is going to benefit. We benefited for Darren Kendrick from the portal come in and help us. So we're going to lose some. We're going to gain some. That's just the way it is. But just for these kids to be vilified like this is just uncalled for and unnecessary.
No, I think your opinion is really valuable, and I'm glad that you're being as candid as you are. And I want to make sure that everything I have said, I give you a chance to kind of respond to there as well. Obviously, Jermaine has the opportunity to go wherever he wants. That's what the one-time transfer rule provides for you. And if he wants to go somewhere for really whatever his reason is, he has every right to do that. The one thing that does frustrate me a little bit, Terrence, is, and this is not necessarily frustrated with Burton in particular, but just maybe the circumstances around these kind of transfers, I simply don't believe it's true that Burton has to go somewhere else in order to showcase himself for NFL draft scouts. I cited the example of Demaryius Thomas a moment ago, the late, great Demaryius Thomas, who, even playing in a triple option offense at Georgia Tech, became the first receiver taken in the 2010 NFL draft. Also players in this current Georgia offense that, by the way, did score 40 points per game. You know, a guy like Brock Bowers, a truly great player, has emerged as truly great in this system that Georgia's in right now, with Stetson Bennett throwing the football, a guy that some folks would tell you is deficient. It hasn't stopped Brock Bowers from being great. So I guess the one thing I have a little bit of concern about, and this is the thing I'm hoping you'll respond to, is this notion that there might be, from other schools or something like that, someone in Burton's ear saying, oh, you have to get away from Georgia in order to be as great on the NFL level as you can be. I simply don't believe that's factually true. What would you say in response to that?
I agree with that. I don't think you necessarily have to have these gaudy stats to be thought of as a high draft pick. But like I told someone earlier, kids and parents love stats, and that's starting from the youth football level. So, you know, I can't fault a kid that wants to go out and have an opportunity to showcase his talent. And I know all the people that actually knows football and has been in professional rank, it's not about stats. I'm the all-time leading receiver in Georgia history, and I went undrafted. So it's not about stats. It's about what the NFL people think of your potential talent on the NFL level. So I agree with you on that. But at the end of the day, these are still kids. They still want to go out and perform and put up 1,000-yard seasons, just get opportunities to showcase their talent. So I agree with you on that. It's not stats is not what gets you drafted. Your potential and your talent what gets you drafted.
So also, as somebody that represents works with, that's the better way to say this, that works with a lot of wide receivers that are making college decisions all the time, including some guys that are coming to Georgia. I mean, what do you think right now about the pitch that Georgia is making to wide receivers? Because it is just a fact that, you know, Burton is one of the small handful of truly elite prospects that Georgia's kind of signed at that receiver position over the course of the last few years. Cortez Hankton signed a few, but not as many great wide receivers get signed as great recruits at some of the other positions there as well. What do you make, even within the context of all the success that Georgia's enjoying, what do you make right now of the way in which Georgia is pitching itself to future wide receiver recruits?
Well, I mean, you just look at it. One thing that they can pitch is you're going to be in the running for winning the SEC East, playing in the SEC title game each year, and possibly making it to the playoffs. So if you want success, team success, we're going to do the things we see fit to make you become better men off the field and a better player on the field. And, you know, they have a philosophy. Kirby has a philosophy that he believes is going to work. And it worked. I mean, you cannot, you know, say it doesn't, because we are the 2021 national champs. But at the end of the day, BA, kids still love stats. They still like to go out and look at themselves. And I played the position. I looked at my stats. I still look at them to this day. And, you know, you have to sell the Georgia program right now. But if you look deeper into the stats like I had, Georgia, I tweeted this recently at the time, Georgia had 37 touchdown passes. And we was tied for second in the SEC. Mm-hmm. So you have to really dig deep into the numbers before you really, really make an educated guess on what the Georgia offense is or isn't.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. And I tried to address this a little bit before you joined us, is that I really do think there's a pocket of fans that think there is a level of offense being played across the country right now that's way higher than what Georgia did this year. Now, 2019 LSU, they did that, but that's a few years ago now. 2020 Alabama did that, and, you know, they had a Heisman Trophy winning wide receiver and obviously a first-round quarterback. But the truth is that's also a pandemic year in which nobody, not even really Georgia, was playing very much defense at all. So I'm not really quite so sure what to make about that. But here in 2021, the usual suspects of like Alabama and Oklahoma and, you know, Ohio State, it's not like their fans were just kind of over the moon excited about everything those teams were doing either. I mean, Alabama scored 20 points against LSU, scored, 15 or however many against Georgia in the national championship game, scuffled against Auburn. Oklahoma had to bench Spencer Rattler. There were some fans by the end of the year that wanted to bench Caleb Williams. That there's actually not this like Garden of Eden where these teams are scoring 100 points per game. There really aren't very many teams in the country playing better offense than what Georgia played this year, and I just don't think that some people quite realize how true that is.
Oh, I agree. I mean, if you look at the stats, I think we averaged like 38 points or something like that. But, you also got to give credit to the defense of putting the offense in position to score. But that's a team game. That's part of having a good team. You wouldn't see – I think people criticize Mike Bobo a few times where our offense averaged a lot of points and our defense wasn't that good, then vice versa. So now we got a very good defense and an offense that can be explosive at times, but it just doesn't look the same as what Alabama or LSU did. But when you really deep down and get into the second level stats, Georgia offense is very explosive. It just doesn't look the same as the LSU a couple of years ago and Alabama of the recent years. It just doesn't look the same because we run the ball more and we don't have those 1,000-yard receivers. But second level stats says we're just as explosive as those teams.
I think that's exactly right. This is our Marlow's Tavern Insider Update with Terrence Edwards right now. And by the way, you can't necessarily be a college football insider the way that Terrence Edwards is, former great player and a really good coach there as well. But you certainly can be an insider when it comes to Marlow's Tavern. There are a lot of benefits that come along with that there as well, because when you get a chance to kind of dive in, be a part of that, when you join the Insider Club, you're going to get all kinds of incentives for doing so. You can go to marlowstavern.com to get signed up for this. You can download the Marlow's app there as well. When you do so, you're going to get $10 off a $30 order just for signing up. Now, when you dine at a Marlow's Tavern, you spend at least $15 on food and beverages, you're going to earn a qualified visit. When you get 4 of those, you're going to get a complimentary entree reward up to $20 on your next visit. And you can redeem that at any of your favorite Marlow's Taverns, including the one right there in your own neighborhood. You can also get special offers for your birthday there as well. So it's marlowstavern.com to find out more about how you can become a member of the Marlow's Tavern Insider Club. All right, Terrence, a couple of things before we let you go here. Thing number one is this. So I've said before, in light of Daniels leaving and Stetson Bennett coming back and obviously some collection of the young quarterbacks being here and who knows what may happen in the transfer portal, that for as much as I will have respect for Stetson Bennett for the rest of my life because of how he played this year. MVP of the Orange Bowl, MVP of the National Championship game. That's kind of a no questions asked type performance for me. However, I still want there to be an open competition at quarterback for next season. I'm fine with giving Bennett the first reps the first day of spring practice. That seems to make some sense. But beyond that, let the best man win, whoever that might be, currently on the roster or not. What do you think about the future at quarterback for UGA? Because even though some people take the conversation in kind of a weird area, it is a fair topic to discuss.
Right. I definitely agree. Yes, I think Stetson is get the first team reps, but Kirby has always said that in his mind, he's going to play the player that give us the best chance. That's what he have said to us. Do I think Carson Beck will get an opportunity? I truly don't. I think it's the young men. I think Brock Vandegrift and Garner Stockton. It's the future of Georgia football. I think they're going to get a really hard look. Do I anticipate Stetson starting the first game against Oregon? Yes, I do. I anticipate him being the guy. But I also hope and wish that, the future is those two young guys and they get all the opportunity to compete for that job during the spring and during the summer and during the fall. But I really do. I watched Gunner twice this year when Pace Academy played Brock, and I think he is what we all want in a football player. Tough, plays position like a linebacker, strong, big. Everybody was questioning his height, but at the All-Star game, he was listed at 6'1", 214, and has a cannon of an arm. And I really love Brock. So I think we got two young quarterbacks that we're going to have a great competition. But I do anticipate Stetson being the starter against Oregon game 1.
Mm-hmm. So let's finish with this. There's also been a lot of chatter. It seems like Cortez Hankton making it official that he was leaving was 100 years ago now, but it was really only a few days ago. And there's a lot of talk that comes up about, hey, maybe a former Georgia player like yourself, because obviously we know the work that you're doing not only with current receivers, and your personal coaching, but also on the staff there at Pace Academy. And Hines Ward name comes up here, there as well. And since we've talked about it on the show, it only seems fair that we'd ask you about it there as well. I mean, what do you think your future is? Is being a coach at the college level something that you would like to be a part of at any point in time in your life, knowing that you got kids and you got, obviously a lot going on here? I mean, what is your own idea about what you'd like for your future to be, Terrence?
Of course, I would love to coach on the college level. I would love to, go to Georgia as the receiver coach or at some capacity. I would love that. That would be the sweetest thing, I think, for me and my family. My wife is a Georgia alumnus. My kids love it. You know, everyone knows my brother's wife, Tracy. My wife's mother went to grad school. So my whole family is Georgia. We bleed red and black. And if that's in the cards, I would love it. Do I love what I do now? I love coaching at Pace Academy. I was the offense coordinator at Pace Academy this year. I love doing my wide receiver training, developing young kids to young men, a la Jermaine. Jermaine started me in the 8th grade. Justin Robinson started me in the 8th grade. Eric started me in the 9th grade. So I love developing kids. So I think my knock as a coach is a developer, and I would love to be on the college level to do that. But one thing that I'm not going to do is I have a wife and kids, I have a family. So I know people always say, well, you got to start, at the bottom. I would, don't mind starting at the bottom, but economically, I have a wife and kids to take care of. And right now, I'm not, doing very well for myself. But if the right things come along and my family is good with it, I would love to, especially be the receiver coach at Georgia. I would love no more than be the receiver coach at Georgia.
Well, listen, I can tell you this. You got a lot of folks rooting for you for whatever your professional ambition is coming up after that, because we love the impact that you're making. By the way, a lot of folks are also very happy with some of those Pace Academy guys that have been at Georgia the last few years too. So I think a lot of folks say, hey, keep that pipeline going to Athens there as well, because there are a lot of good players coming through that program. Very quick, and I promise I'll let you go. There was also the photo that we saw this past weekend of a very happy, smiling Arian Gilbert after the national championship celebration on Saturday. I know that's a guy that you know well. How happy were you to see Gilbert seemingly enjoying himself as much as he is? We'll save the conversation about what kind of impact he could make on Georgia in 2022. We'll save that for some other time to come. But how happy did it make you to see him happy this past weekend?
You know what, BA, for all the things that young man has been through, and I tweeted this, and I'm just happy to see that smile again. I know folks, and he appreciates all the DawgNation, the true DawgNation fans that really prayed for him and really appreciate, giving him his privacy and let him work through all the things that he needs to work through. I asked DawgNation just to do that, just continue to pray for this young man. And you saw that picture of him smiling. That comes from all the prayers from the DawgNation. His family appreciates that. I appreciate that. He's just a young man that is just continue praying for him. I told him the other day, ball will come. Just continue to get yourself in a happy place, and he's done that. So what he's going to do on the field, we could talk about that later, but he's in class fulfilling his academic obligations right now.
Terrence, you are a good man. Thank you so much for your thoughts here today. Appreciate you being here on the Marlow's Tavern Insider Update. And by the way, just real quick, tell folks how they can get in touch with that wide receiver academy that you're working on and a part of each and every day, because we do love the work that you're doing out there for that next generation of pass catcher. So give a shout-out to that there as well, if you don't mind.
On Tuesday, we started up officially Terrence Edwards Wide Receiver Academy at the famous Bubble. We're there tonight from 6 to 7:30. Get the next generation of receivers ready to endure another high school season, and some getting ready for college. So you can find me on all social media, Terrence Edwards Wide Receiver Academy.
Terrence, appreciate it. We'll look forward to talking to you next week.